Hello and welcome to NVK festivals. Falls. The Falls is a traditional celebration held in commemoration of St. Joseph in the city of Valencia, Spain. The term Falls refers to both the celebration and the monuments burnt during the celebration. A number of towns in the Valencian Community have similar celebrations inspired by the original Falles de València celebration. The Falls Festival was added to UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity list on the 30th of November 2016. Each neighbourhood of the city has an organised group of people, the Casal Falla, that works all year long holding fundraising parties and dinners, usually featuring the noted dish paella, a specialty of the region. Each Casal Falla produces a construction known as a Falla which is eventually burned. A Casal Falla is also known as a comissió follow, falls and ninots. Formerly, much time would be spent by the Casal Falla preparing the ninots Valencian for puppets or dolls. During the 4 days leading up to the 19th of March, each group takes its ninot out for a grand parade and then mounts it each on its own elaborate firecracker-filled cardboard and papier-mâché artistic monument in a street of the given neighborhood. This whole assembly is a Falla. The ninots and the falls are constructed according to an agreed-upon theme that has traditionally been a satirical jab at whatever draws the attention of the Fallas, the registered participants of the castles. In modern times, the 2-week-long festival has spawned a substantial local industry, to the point that an entire suburban area has been designated the Ciutat Falla, Falls City. Here, crews of artists and artisans, sculptors, painters, and other craftsmen all spend months producing elaborate constructions of paper and wax, wood and polystyrene foam tableaus towering up to 5 stories, composed of fanciful figures, often caricatures, in provocative poses arranged in a gravity-defying manner. Each of them is produced under the direction of one of the many individual neighborhood castles Fallas who vie with each other to attract the best artists, and then to create the most outrageous allegorical monument to the target. There are about 750 of these neighborhood associations in Valencia, with over 200,000 members, or a quarter of the city's population. During Falls, many people wear their Casal Falla dress of regional and historical costumes from different eras of Valencia's history. The dolcana, an oboe-like reed instrument, and tabala, a kind of Valencian drum, are frequently heard, as most of the different castles Fallas have their own traditional bands. Although the Falls is a very traditional event and many participants dress in medieval clothing, the ninots for 2005 included such modern characters as Shrek and George W. Bush, and the 2012 Falls included characters like Barack Obama and Lady Gaga. Events during Falls. The 5 days and nights of Falls might be described as a continuous street party. There are a multitude of processions, historical, religious, and comedic. Crowds in the restaurants spill out into the streets. Explosions can be heard all day long and sporadically through the night. Everyone from small children to elderly people can be seen throwing fireworks and noisemakers in the streets, which are littered with pyrotechnical debris. The timing of the events is fixed, and they fall on the same date every year, though there has been discussion about holding some events on the weekend preceding the Falls. To take greater advantage of the tourist potential of the festival, are changing the end date in years where it is due to occur in midweek. La Despota. Each day of Falls begins at 8 a.m. with La Despota, the wake-up call. Brass bands appear from the castles and begin to march down every street playing lively music. Close behind them are the Fallas, throwing large firecrackers in the street as they go. La Mascleta. The Mascleta, an explosive barrage of coordinated firecracker and fireworks displays, takes place at 2 p.m. every day of the festival. The main event is the municipal Mascleta in the Plaça de l'Ajuntament, where the pyrotechnicians compete for the honor of providing the final Mascleta of the festies on the 19th of March. At 2 p.m. the clock chimes and the Falla Major, dressed in her Falla finery, will call from the balcony of City Hall, "Senyor Pyrotechnic pot començar la Mascleta." Mr. Pyrotechnic, you may commence the Mascleta, and the Mascleta begins. The Mascleta is almost unique to the Valencian community, and very popular with the Valencian people. Smaller neighbourhoods often hold their own Mascleta for saints' days, weddings and other celebrations. La Planta. Main article. Planta. The day of the 15th, all of the Falls infantils are to be finished being constructed, and later that night all of the Falls Majors, big falls, are to be completed. If not, they face disqualification. Lorena de Flors. Saragals, a traditional Valencian costume for the men. In this event, the flower offering, each of the castle's Fallas takes an offering of flowers to the Virgin Mary as Our Lady of the Forsaken. This occurs all day during 17 to 18 March. A statue of the Virgin Mary and its large pedestal are then covered with all the flowers. Els Castells and la Nit del Foc. On the nights of the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th there are firework displays in the old riverbed in Valencia. Each night is progressively grander, and the last is called la Nit del Foc, the Night of Fire. La Crema, 2002. Cavalcada del Foc. On the final evening of Falls, at 7 p.m. on March 19th, a parade known in Valencian as the Cavalcada del Foc, the fire parade, takes place along Column Street and Porta de la Mar Square. This spectacular celebration of fire, the symbol of the fiesta's spirit, is the grand finale of Falls, and a colorful, noisy event featuring exhibitions of the varied rites and displays from around the world which use fire. It incorporates floats, giant mechanisms, people in costumes, rockets, gunpowder, street performances and music. La Crema. Main article. Crema. On the final night of Falls, around midnight on March 19th, these falls are burnt as huge bonfires. This is known as La Crema, the burning, the climax of the whole event, and the reason why the constructions are called falls torches. Traditionally, the Falla in the Plaça de l'Ajuntament is burned last. All castles have a Falla infantil, a children's Falla, small and without satirical themes, which is held a few meters away from the main one. This is burnt first at 10 p.m. The main neighborhood falls are burnt closer to midnight. The burning of the falls in the city center often starts later. For example, in 2005, the fire brigade delayed the burning of the Egyptian funeral Falla in Cara del Convent of Jerusalem until 1:30 a.m., when they were sure all safety concerns were addressed. Each Falla is laden with fireworks which are lit first. The construction itself is lit either after or during the explosion of these fireworks. Falls burn quite quickly and the heat given off is felt by all around. The heat from the larger ones often drives the crowd back a couple of meters, even though they are already behind barriers that the fire brigade has set several meters from the construction. In narrower streets, the heat scorches the surrounding buildings, and the firemen douse the frontiers, window blinds, street signs, etc. with the hoses to stop them catching fire or melting from the beginning of the crema until it cools down. Away from the falls, people frolic in the streets. The whole city resembling an open-air dance party, except that instead of music there is the incessant and occasionally deafening sound of people throwing fireworks around randomly. There are many stalls selling trinkets and snacks such as the typical fried porres, churros and buñuels, as well as roasted chestnuts. While the smaller fallas dotted around the streets are burned at approximately the same time, the last falla to be burned is the main one, which is saved until last so that everybody can watch it. This main falla is found outside the adjuntament, the town hall. People arrive a few hours before the scheduled burning time to get a front row view.